Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Nityananda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 2, Chapter 7, and Text 37. This morning, we're very fortunate to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu, ISKCON Philadelphia, to give the class. So, Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitānāṁ pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you.
Right.
Did we start?
Yes, whenever you're ready, yeah.
Did you see my message in the chat?
Let me look now. No, I haven't seen it, but I will look right now. Yeah, there's one message there. Could you show the Dasa Avatar stotra about Lord Buddha on the screen for chanting before the Dasa Avatar of Lord Buddha? The Dasa Avatar stotra. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll have to look for it. But I will right now. Krishna.
It's in kksongs.org, as you know.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Then I like going to KK songs too. All right.
There it is. Yeah.
Balaya Bahodi Jali.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just the first words of it. They have it different way categorized. And then I think it's number 8 or something like that, maybe 9.
This one?
9. There it is.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a prayer by Jayadev Goswami. It's one of the 10 avatars mentioned here. And we could just go over the meaning quickly. This is recognizing Lord Buddha as an incarnation of Keshava, of Krishna. So the meaning is Nindasi Yagya Vidher. Yagya Vidher means those Vedic sacrifices, and Nindasi means criticizing, rejecting, or criticizing. Just like here's the offense against the chanting of the holy names is sadhu ninda. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
To blaspheme devotees. Yeah. So nindasi. So he blasphemed the Vedic sacrifices. Oh, shruti jatam, and gave up the shrutis, the Vedas, gave up the Vedas. Sadaya hridaya, so that his heart was very compassionate. Darshita pashugatam, seeing. Pashugata means the slaughter of animals. So he gave up the Vedic sacrifices and criticized them, gave up the Vedas, because he had a compassionate heart, seeing the wholesale slaughter of animals. That Keshava Drita Buddha Sharira Jai Jagadish. All glories to Keshava, who's taken that form of Buddha. That's all glories to him. Okay, so we'll just chant it a couple times. Nindasi yagya vidher ahaha shuti jatam sadaya hridaya darshita pashughatam keshavadrita buddha sharira jai jagadisha hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Okay, everybody.
Nindasi Yagya
Ahaha Shuti Jatam sadaya
Sadaya
hridaya
hridaya
darshita pashu
pashugātam Keshavadita Buddha
buddha
Sarira
Jai
Jaya
Jagadisha
Jagadishare
Hare
Jaya
Jai Jagadisha
Jagadishare
Hare Jai
Jaya
Jagadisha
Jagadishare
Nindasi Yagya Vidher Ahaha Shruti Jatam Sadaya Hridaya Darshita Pashughatam Keshavadrita Buddha Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Nindasi
Nasiya
Yagya
Kavite
Vidhera
Ahaha
Shruti
Shruti
Jatam
Jatam
Sadaya
Sadaya
Hridaya Darshita
Asita
Pashughatam
Vashugatam Keshavadrita
Buddha
Buddha Sarira
Sharira
Jaya
Jai Jagadisha
Jagadishare
Hare Jai
Jaya Jagadishare
Jai
Jaya
Jagadish.
Jagadishare
Okay, one more time, everybody. Nindasiya Vidhe Ahaha Shuti Jata
Jatam
Sadaya
Vidhāya
Hridaya
vidhāya
Darshita
Pashugatam
Pashughatam Keshavadita
Keshavadita
Buddha
Buddha
Sharira
Sarira
Jai
Jaya
Jagadisha Hare
Jagadishare
Jai
Jaya
Jagadisha
Jagadishare
Hare Jai
Jaya
Jagadisha
Jagadishare
Hare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtottara Satashi Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtottara Satashi Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai
Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai.
Jai
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय.
Jai
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय.
Jai
वृंदावन धाम की जय.
Jai
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय.
Jai
गंगा माई की जय.
Jai
जमुना माई की जय.
Jai
तुलसी देवी की जय.
Jai
भक्ति देवी की जय.
Jai
समवेता भक्तवृंद की जय.
Jai
गौर प्रेम आनंदे.
Hari Hari Bol
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol.
Hare
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading, studying, and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd Canto, 7th Chapter, 37th Verse, scheduled incarnations with specific functions. And any guess, perhaps, about why we chanted this prayer from the Dasavatar Stotram? Any guesses out there?
Well, I'm not going to guess because I already read it, so
You already
maybe I
know.
shouldn't say
Okay.
anything. Yeah,
Anyone
but
want
it
to venture a
relates to
guess?
the song that we sang, so I know
Yeah.
that much. Yeah.
This, I guess we don't have, nobody's guessing, want to guess. All right. So this verse and this incarnation,
Wait, is this because the verse is on Dasavatar? It mentions, I'm just guessing,
it mentions what?
about the Dasavatar, something about Dasavatar and the verse?
Yeah, very
Okay.
close,
Yeah.
very close, very close, almost there.
But what
Almost.
specifically though? Which one specifically did we sing?
Okay, you got me there, so I'm going to quit.
Keshav,
And
Keshavadita, then what? What did we say? You remember?
Oh, Narahari Rupa.
No, that's the
Oh,
Shingade
that
one.
is
No,
Keshavadvita Buddha
Buddha.
Sharira, Buddha
yeah,
Sharira.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this verse, we're at the point in the list of scheduled incarnations to where Lord Buddha, a particular Lord Buddha, is discussed or identified. That's why. Anyway, okay. Om Namo Bhagavate. Did we say this already? Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Okay. So then 2:7:37. Deva-dviṣāṁ nigama-vartmani niṣṭhitānāṁ pūrbhir mayena vihitābhir adṛśya-tūrbhiḥ lokān ghnatāṁ mati-vimoham atipralobhaṁ veṣaṁ vidhāya bahu bhāṣyata aupadharmyam deva-dviṣāṁ nigama-vartmani niṣṭhitānāṁ pūrbhir mayena vihitābhir adṛśya-tūrbhiḥ lokān ghnatāṁ mati-vimoham atipralobhaṁ veṣaṁ vidhāya bahu bhāṣyata aupadharmyam deva-dviṣāṁ nigama-vartmani niṣṭhitānāṁ pūrbhir mayena vihitābhir adṛśya-tūrbhiḥ lokān ghnatāṁ mati-vimoham atipralobhaṁ veṣaṁ vidhāya bahu bhāṣyati aupadharmyam. Please chant.
Deva-dviṣāṁ nigama-vartmani niṣṭhitānāṁ pūrbhir mayena vihitābhir adṛśya-tūrbhiḥ lokān ghnatāṁ mati-vimoham atipralobhaṁ veṣaṁ vidhāya bahu bhāṣyata aupadharmyam. Hare Krishna.
Deva-dviṣāṁ nigama-vartmani niṣṭhitānāṁ pūrbhir mayena vihitābhir adṛśya-tūrbhiḥ lokān ghnatāṁ mati-vimoham atipralobhaṁ veṣaṁ vidhāya bahu bhāṣyata aupadharmyam. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, the last line is a little tricky, I know.
Yes, Prabhu, tongue twister.
It sounds like you're in a recording booth or something because there's a little,
No.
little reverb.
Prabhu, I'm actually in the lobby of the temple. I'm just leaving the temple after morning service.
Oh, okay. Okay. Dear Krishna Prabhu, would you like to chant?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Deva-dviṣāṁ nigama-vartmani niṣṭhitānāṁ pūrbhir mayena vihitābhir adṛśya-tūrbhiḥ lokān ghnatāṁ mati-vimoham atipralobhaṁ veṣaṁ vidhāya bahu bhāṣyata aupadharmyam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll look at the synonyms. Deva-dviṣāṁ, of those who are envious of the devotees of the Lord. Nigama, the Vedas. Vartmani, on the path of niṣṭhitānāṁ, of the well-situated. Pūrbhir, by rockets. Mayena, made by the great scientist Maya. Vihitābhir, made by adṛśya-tūrbhiḥ, unseen in the sky. Lokān, the different planets. Ghnatāṁ, of the killers. Mati-vimoham, bewilderment of the mind. Atipralobhaṁ, very attractive veṣaṁ, dress. Vidhāya, having done so. Bahu bhāṣyata, will talk very much. Aupadharmyam, sub-religious principles. Translation. Can we move it up? Oh, there, thanks. When the atheists, after being well-versed in the Vedic scientific knowledge, annihilate inhabitants of different planets, flying unseen in the sky on well-built rockets prepared by the great scientist Maya, the Lord will bewilder their minds by dressing himself attractively as Buddha and will preach on sub-religious principles. Purport. This incarnation of Lord Buddha is not the same Buddha incarnation we have in the present history of mankind. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Buddha incarnation mentioned in this verse appears in a different Kali age. In the duration of life of one Manu, there are more than 72 Kali Yugas, and in one of them, the particular type of Buddha mentioned here would appear. Lord Buddha incarnates at a time when the people are most materialistic and preaches common sense religious principles. Such ahimsa is not a religious principle itself, but it is an important quality for persons who are actually religious. It is a common sense religion because one is advised to do no harm to any other animal or living being because such harmful actions are equally harmful to he who does the harm. But before learning these principles of nonviolence, one has to learn two other principles, namely, to be humble and to be prideless. Unless one is humble and prideless, one cannot be harmless and nonviolent. And after being nonviolent, one has to learn tolerance and simplicity of living. One must offer respects to the great religious preachers and spiritual leaders, and also train the senses for controlled action, learning to be unattached to family and home, and enacting devotional service to the Lord. At the ultimate stage, one has to accept the Lord and become his devotee. Otherwise, there is no religion. In religious principles, there must be God in the center. Otherwise, simple moral instructions are merely sub-religious principles, generally known as aupadharmyam, or nearness to religious principles. So let's look at that. Let's look at the words for words to See, the word for yeah. So you know this word deva-dviṣāṁ. Deva can be God, or also those who are demigods like devotees. And dviṣāṁ means envious. So there's a name of Krishna, Madhu-dviṣ. Maybe you've heard this, Madhu-dviṣ. Madhu-dviṣ means that person who's envious of the demon Madhu. That's Krishna. Krishna, because the demon Madhu is creating havoc in the universe, and because of that, he didn't like Madhu, and he liberated him. Then you have Nigama, the Vedas. The Vedas, in the third verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's nigama-kalpataror galitam palam. Nigama, the same word is there. The Vedas, nigama, kalpataror, are like a desire tree. And like any tree is known by its fruits, so similarly, the Srimad Bhagavatam is the fruit of the tree of the Vedic literature. So then there is vartmani niṣṭhitānāṁ. So these scientists taking the Vedic knowledge and using it to make rockets. They were, what were they doing? Ghnatāṁ. They were killing people on different planets with those rockets. And so Lord Buddha appeared to get them preach sub-religious principles, which Srila Prabhupada mentions is, in this case, was ahimsa, non-violence, because they were committing lots of violence. So that's a very interesting. And the word aupadharmyam, that prefix upa, just like we have the name for Vamanadev is Upendra. You've heard that name before, Upendra? Yes. So
Yeah.
Indra, yeah.
So
So
isn't it one of the names I'm thinking of Nanda's brothers too? Nanda Maharaj brothers? Or am I getting it mixed up with something else?
Upananda, yeah, Upananda.
Upananda. I'm sorry. Okay, that's different.
That's all right,
Okay.
but that's close. So, but the same point. So there's the same point. That the prefix upa means nearby, or sometimes a diminutive. Diminutive. Sometimes it's like Prabhupada said, it was almost a religion or near to religion. Upadharma. So Upendra. There's because Vamanadev was the little brother of Indra in a sense. He's the diminutive of Indra. Yeah, and Upananda. He's the brother close to Nanda Maharaj, who was the principal lord of Gokula at the time. So there's those names. Anyway, we're looking at that. Then Srila Prabhupada talks in the purport. This is really very interesting, because this Buddha is not the same Buddha that we were talking about, particularly in that Dasavatar Stotra. So because the Buddha that we are familiar with in history appeared about 600 years ago, near the beginning of our current Kali Yuga. And he appeared in the province of Gaya, which was in current Bihar province, just west of Bengal. So this is a different Lord Buddha who appeared in a different Kali age. So if it was in a different Kali age, if you do the math, we don't know if it's the just prior Kali age from the last cycle of 4 ages, or some other one. But even if it was the last Kali age from the previous cycle of 4 yugas, that would have been 3.9, not less than 3.9 million years ago. You follow? So this information, this knowledge that we're having is very ancient, coming down from millions of years. What to speak of that? This information and this knowledge is coming down even from the beginning of the universe. as we were talking, Lord Brahma is going to be giving some of his knowledge. Vyasadeva, he compiled the Vedas, which were already there, but he just systematized them and regularized them so that they could be easily understood by us people in Kali Yuga, and had them written down. Prior to that, they were passed on from spiritual master to disciple by hearing. And so they would, students in the Gurukul, their first business was to memorize all the Vedic literatures by chanting them daily. So I have a little experience of that because in my youth in New York Temple in 1977 or 76, 77, at a certain point, the temple president requested that some devotees chant the Brahmi Samhita every morning during the bathing of the deities, because that was mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that had more recently come out. In one purport, Srila Prabhupada said that the Brahma Samhita and the Purusha Sukta should be chanted in the morning during the bathing of the deities. So I volunteered along with some other devotees. Vaisheshik Prabhu was there, Pragosh Prabhu was there, Sanjay were there. And every morning we would chant the Brahma Samhita. And after a very short time, I could remember it. I couldn't do that now. But when you're a younger person, you know, the for whatever reason, it's much easier to commit things to memory. So the students in the Gurukul would memorize the Vedas by chanting them daily, and then that they were passed on from spiritual master to disciple like that for millennia. So this Lord Buddha is at least 3.9 million years before, if not before then. And as you know, Lord Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, the 4th chapter, that he comes for his various purposes. Maybe dear Krishna knows those purposes. Dear Krishna Prabhu, are you still there? You're at work. Anyway, must be busy. Anyway, you know. Paritrana. Yeah, go ahead.
Paritana sadhunam.
Yes. What else?
Yeah. Vinashitaya Chakritam.
And what else?
Some Spatana Daya. Some Bhavami.
Yeah. Paritrana sadhunam. To deliver souls by inspiring and helping them progress in the path of Dharma. And also to stop or destroy the atheists, the vinashaya to duskritam. Duskritam literally means bad actors, bad guys, bad actors, really. Duskritam. This is the evidence here we have of the previous appearance of a Lord Buddha. Similarly, in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita by Rupa Goswami, that's quoted by Srila Prabhupada in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he mentions that Lord Ramchandra also appears, not just Buddha appears in various Mahayugas, but Lord Ramchandra also appeared many times within this current Manu. Sometimes he appears as Vasudeva, and his brothers are Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughna. Or Lakshman is Shankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And sometimes Lord Ramchandra appears as Narayan with the Chakra, Shankh, and Gada as his 3 brothers. So anyway, these repeated incarnations are coming for that purpose. And it's very wonderful that Lord Krishna comes again and again for those purposes. because we, the individual souls, are here in this material world because we chose to neglect or reject Krishna. Isn't it? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Icha, dvesha, same word dvesha, samuttena, dvandva-mohena bharata. Out of our desire to be Krishna and our envy of Krishna, all souls are born in this world. So even though we chose to reject Krishna, Krishna doesn't reject us. There's a saying, the son may forget the father. Have you heard this before? But the father never forgets the son. So Lord Krishna comes again and again in various incarnations, with various activities and plans, and even in the Buddha incarnation, tricks atheistic people to follow sub-religious principles in order to help them take a step in his direction to allow them to make progress and ultimately to go back and get back on the spiritual path, which is ultimate spiritual path is devotional service to the Lord. That's very interesting stuff. So what are some parallels that you might see between this Buddha and the Buddha that we're familiar with in from 600 BC that is more current in history? What parallels might you see? That's a question. It's not a rhetorical question. I was a little. Go ahead.
Well, the Buddha that we are aware of came at a time to change the animal eating propensity that people who were with the Vedas, they were trying to use that in the yagyas just to have, an opportunity to taste meat. And so that violence towards the animal, this causes Buddha. That's one of the things that the Buddha that we know about preached about, ahimsa, non-violence. So that's wrongdoing on the part of those who were bothering animals like that. And this one, well, they were also killing people. Even more, they're sending rockets to other realms, other planets, and killing. Just like this other in this Buddha that we know of, there was animal killing. They were also killing in this other Buddha that's being talked about in this verse. He came to change that mentality.
Yes. So that in one case, one Buddha was there was both violences according to the animals or the inhabitants of planets, and Buddha came to stop the violence. Yeah, very good. Any other parallels between this Buddha and the Buddha in history that we are familiar with? I was thinking of one other aspect, which you hinted at, Parikshit Prabhu, was that in both cases they were using the Vedas to justify their violence. You follow?
Yes.
Because here, this Buddha, they're using Vedic knowledge of rockets to kill people, and in the other Buddha, the one we're more familiar with, they were saying, before Buddha, they were using the Vedic idea of sacrifice to slaughter animals wholesale, as you pointed out, because they wanted to eat the flesh of the animal. And it's not just any flesh, because in the Vedas, there is allowance for animal sacrifice. We know that because Srila Prabhupada talks about there's offering of goat to goddess Kali, but it's restricted, only allowed on the dark moon night, and the goat is brought to a temple of Kali, and dark moon night, usually the temples, because the screams of the goats, animals, are disturbing to the population, those temples were usually outside the village or town, because it wouldn't disturb those animal screams wouldn't disturb the people, and it was in their sleep because it's at night. And then the man, under the supervision of the priest who kills the goat, would say into the ear of the goat, "Mamsa." In this life, there would be a mantra including that, Mamsa. In this life, I'll kill you. I'm the man, you're the animal, I'll kill you. But in next life, you'll become the man, I'll become the animal, you can kill me. But it was only a goat, not other animals, not cows, not horses. There were other animal sacrifices, but those sacrifices were meant to test the Vedic mantras according to Lord Chaitanya. And old animals were used, and they're got a new body by the effect of the Vedic mantras, magically. So apparently during the time of the Buddha, historically, that we know, people were not just interested in killing goats, but they wanted to kill all kinds of animals, for eating meat. So you can imagine, you can think about it. So up till this time, up till Kali Yuga, Brahmins who had learned the Vedic mantras properly, they could do the magical task of rejuvenating and giving the horse or the cow a new body by the sacrifice. But in the Kali Yuga, because the people, the Brahmanas doing the sacrifices, couldn't continue to chant the mantras properly, so they decided to fudge the system. Oh, they still can't. Well, that's the only the only kind of sacrifice. We'll just, okay, we can killing the cow, killing the horse, and we can't chant the mantras properly. So we'll just say it's Vedic, and people can eat the meat afterwards. And so it became very prevalent, the slaughter of all kinds of animals in the name of Vedic sacrifice. Does that make sense? That's what they're used to.
Yeah.
They continue. Their whole life they were training to do those kinds of sacrifices. They didn't know anything else. They just continued, even though it was done improperly. So this happens. And so in this case, the Vedic knowledge was about rockets. Oh, even there's some discussion, evidence that the first rockets were shot. The first were made in Germany in 1944, and the person, Werner von Braun, admitted that some of the information he got was gleaned from the Vedic literature. Did you know that? I thought it's interesting. And Prabhupada comments on that. If you search for rockets in the Vedabase, you'll find that Srila Prabhupada says that he was told by one of an Indian scientist who was working in India that the Germans purchased some information about rockets in the 1930s for 8 lakhs of rupees from that scientist who was studying the Vedic literature. And in Sadaputa's book called Alien Identities, now it's called Parallels, but the first printing was Alien Identities. There's a section about the Vedic rockets and the descriptions of Vedic rockets back in Vedic times. So this Buddha at the time of this Buddha, the people were using that Vedic knowledge of rockets improperly, just like in previous Buddha, they were using the Vedic knowledge improperly. And so he came to preach something along the lines of ahimsa, nonviolence. Any questions so far? Okay. So then, so this ahimsa, sometimes it's said, you've heard this, ahimsa paramo dharmo. Have you heard this before? Ahimsa paramo dharmo. Means,
No, not really.
That was a saying of Mohandas Gandhi. The highest religion is ahimsa. But here, Srila Prabhupada says ahimsa is not in itself, it's a religious principle. So what do you make of that? How is it not a religious principle? I'm asking.
I never
I know
thought
you
of it.
know. Go ahead, go ahead.
No, I said I never thought of it that way, so I really don't know.
Non-violence.
Yeah, I mean,
Non-violence.
yeah, that means non-violence.
Ahimsa, yeah, I'm
But
sorry,
trying to,
non-violence. Yeah.
yeah, but trying to understand Prabhupada's comment, that's what I
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
religion. Sorry.
Go ahead, yeah.
Your question was, Sri Prabhupada was saying that ahimsa is not a religion in of itself.
That's right. That's right.
And you were asking why.
Yes.
Well, Sri Prabhupada has defined religion as the codes given by God.
Yes.
And ahimsa is, well, nonviolence, that's a trait or a character one person develops. That's not necessarily the codes of the Lord. That's how I'm seeing it.
Okay. Yes. So in others, dear Krishna Prabhu, would you like to comment? No? Okay. So can someone be nonviolent and an atheist?
That's interesting.
Yes, certainly they can.
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're just more the goodness person.
Yeah, yeah. Because so I mean, therefore it's a sub-religious. It's helpful but without taking the next step to actually recognize God and to serve God, then it's just a material quality. Very nice material. We're not decrying it, but very nice material quality, but it doesn't necessarily in and of itself connect you to God.
Yeah.
The thing that connects us to God is bhakti, devotional service. So nonviolence, without any reference to service to God, is still on the material platform. Very nice material platform, but still material. So we find many times when Srila Prabhupada was talking with, for example, Bob Cohen. You know Bob Cohen? And that perfect questions, perfect answers.
Yeah, that's your God, brother.
Yes, he's a God. Okay. Yeah. So Prabhupada was talking, and he was talking about vegetarianism, and Prabhupada says, we don't emphasize so much vegetarianism. Even the pigeons and the monkeys are vegetarian, he says. Is that true? Yeah. So the pigeons, by being vegetarian, aren't necessarily advancing in devotional service. So, and you know, they say that Hitler was a vegetarian also. You probably know that.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So nonviolent, an aspect of nonviolence, you know, in a certain way, at least in terms of eating, that's only a material quality that's temporary, and it won't necessarily last. There's a nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that you're probably familiar with. It goes, yasyasti bhakti bhagavatya kinchana sarvar gunas tatra samasate sura. Says that for those who are devoted, actually devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the great qualities, the wonderful qualities mentioned in the found in the demigods automatically appear. Harava bhaktasya krito mahadguna. And then I forget the last line. But anyway, but for those who are not linked up with God, even though they may have some apparent good quality, because they're hovering on the mental plane, that good quality will never remain. Do you follow?
Mm.
So like Hitler, he may have been a somewhat nonviolent in one way, but look at the violence. And Srila Prabhupada also said like that. When he was preaching early in his mission, he was writing letters to Mahatma Gandhi, whose prime preaching was nonviolence. And Srila Prabhupada addressed him as, I am your unknown friend. So I just thought I'd read a little bit of a letter from Srila Prabhupada that, see if I find it. He said to Gandhi just 6 months before Gandhi's assassination, you should know that you are in the relative world, which is called by sages as dvaita and dual. Nothing is absolute here. Your ahimsa, or nonviolence, must be followed by himsa, just as light is followed by darkness, or the Father is followed by the Son. Nothing is absolute truth in this dual world. You do not know this, neither you ever cared to know this from the right sources, and therefore all your attempts to create unity were followed by disunity, and ahimsa always followed by himsa, or violence. Very interesting. So Prabhupada was making that. So the himsa in and of itself, ahimsa in and of itself, is not religious, but on the other hand, a devotee by nature, because of their attachment and devotional service to Krishna, is by nature nonviolent, not separate from devotional service to Krishna. Does that make sense? But then you could say, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is inciting Arjuna to fight. How is that nonviolence? And
He's
Arjuna
already
said,
addressed that. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no, please, if you want to explain it, please go ahead.
No, I like the interaction here. Just like
Okay.
I was inspired by Balabhadra Prabhu on Tuesday asking questions and the discussion. I like that very much. So yeah, because
well, and so then, yeah, this is probably in one lecture you said that people have criticized this whole thing about in several levels about Arjun being incited by Krishna to fight. So Prabhupada said that's not the point. Arjun is a Kshatriya, he's a soldier. So Krishna was inciting or inspiring him, encouraging him to do his duty. You don't blame a soldier for fighting and killing. That's what soldiers do. Like regular people, if you kill, you'll be in jail in a minute, maybe sentenced to death. But a soldier can do that in war, and that was war. Therefore, Krishna was asking him to do his duty as a soldier, period. Not just kill just wantonly, no.
Yes. And in following of that, really, violence in the ultimate sense is violence to the soul. You know, Parikshit Maharaj was discussing with Shukadev Goswami, and Shukadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj said, there's only one kind of person who cannot understand this transcendental knowledge, and that person was an Atmahana, or the killer of the self. So the killer of the killer, or the killer of animal, pashugnat. So there's the killer of the animal, or the killer, and the animal sometimes called the soul. So anybody who's who's rejecting the path of going back to Godhead is committing violence. What happened to those beings on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, or even in an ordinary fight? If a person lays down their life on a proper battlefield, they go to the heavenly planets. So that's not violence for the soul. And for those who were on the battle of Kurukshetra, they died in the path, in the presence of Lord Krishna. They got mukti. So that wasn't violence. So Srila Prabhupada, there's a non-violence on the spiritual level, is to give people the transcendental knowledge of Krishna consciousness, and to prevent them or get them away from that knowledge, that's violence. You know, I remember I was in New York Temple, and I was talking to a priest, and the priest was telling me how they were trying to get more people to attend the services, the Catholic services on Sunday, because their attendance was lagging. So they started serving, cocktails after the service. What do you think? Violence or non-violence? I would say that's violence, because it'll take people away from understanding Krishna consciousness. You follow?
Interesting that they have to give cocktails just to get them to come to church.
Yeah. So this Lord Buddha. So we have to be careful, because Vedic principles, Vedic knowledge can be misused, as they were being misused by this Buddha, and before this Buddha, and at the time of our historical Lord Buddha, for purposes against the purpose of the Vedas. What is the purpose of the Vedas? The purpose of the Vedas, Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedyo, Vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. The purpose of the Vedas, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, is that by all the Vedas, I am to be known. There are many great supposed Vedic followers who were out and out against Krishna. I don't know if you know any of them. Jarasandha was considered a very Paka Vedic Kshatriya in terms of the rituals of Vedic knowledge. And one thing he was very highly regarded for is he gave charity. But at the same time, he was a mortal enemy of Krishna. And the same thing about Ravana. Ravana was supposed learned in all the Vedas, but he didn't know the conclusion of the Vedas. So he kidnapped Ram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead's wife, and wanted to enjoy her. So if we miss the point of Vedic knowledge, we're in trouble. So this is a kind of a help for us to remember that the purpose of Vedic knowledge and the purpose of all our activities in Krishna consciousness are to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to keep that focus in all our activities is wanted. When people have a Vedic sacrifice, in the beginning of the sacrifice, there's a statement called Satya Sankalpa, where people say, okay, we're going to do this sacrifice on such and such a day, at such and such a place, with such and such people, and such gotra. And the whole purpose of the sacrifice is what? To satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That keeps us on the right track. So when we do a Srimad Bhagavatam class, or we do a kirtan, or we cook for the deities, or offer arati to the deities, it's really helpful and essential to keep that point in our mind, that the whole reason I'm doing this is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, through his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, and in ISKCON, the Siksha Guru of everyone is Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very, very nice lecture with also discussions in there. And I'll be the first to say this is my takeaway. Just getting to know this this other Buddha that came when the scientists and the second point I also got to know is that through the Vedas, that rockets literally could be made to the point of it going to other planets and being able to even, destroy, heed that kind of destruction on other planets from the Vedas. And of course, the Buddha, the one that dressed came and changed the mentality of those people. So that was nice takeaway for me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So dear devotees, please unmute yourself if you want to ask questions or share your own takeaway or realizations from this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances, August of Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Prabhu, I wanted to ask, when you were giving the meaning of the name Madhudvisha, does it have the same meaning, Prabhu, to Madhusudana?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Similar. Okay. I was just curious.
So, sometimes it said there's no envy in the spiritual world, but Krishna has this envy, but it's not material envy. So dvish. The Lord Buddha is also mentioned in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto. It goes tata kalau sampravite samohaya sura dviṣāṁ. So same dvisha. That the Buddha was envious of people were envious of the devotees, and so he came to preach nonviolence. Sura dviṣāṁ. Madhudvish. So one question. So questions. Last time, Balabhadra on Tuesday we were discussing Lord Balaram. Remember?
Yeah.
So I did a little research about that. So I can forward you that. I made whether Lord Balaram has the 4 exclusive qualities that are present in Krishna. Plays the flute. So I can forward that to you. I was, those are questions that we came up last time, and we weren't really sure about that.
Yeah.
I'll forward it to you, Parikshit Prabhu.
Okay.
And for today, a question can be for meditation, for research. Lord Buddha comes, and he is an incarnation of Krishna. My understanding is he's a Shakti-avesh avatar. Not a full avatar, a Vishnu Tattva avatar. But just like Lord Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, Lord Jesus Christ, even though he's Shakti Avesh avatar, he is his planet in Vaikuntha. So does Lord Buddha have a planet in the spiritual sky? I never thought about that. I just in talking with this, I never thought about it. And
that's a nice one to research into, Prabhu, a homework assignment.
Yeah. And so if you are a devotee, or if you follow Lord Buddha, I mean, the purpose of follow, he's encouraging even the atheists to follow him so that they get benefit by following. And when they don't want to, they're against God. He said there's no God. Like so, Srila Prabhupada says, in the Namaste Saraswati Devis, Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarini. So the Shunyavadis are the Buddhists or scientists also. There's no God.
Hare Krishna.
But he was God. Go ahead. You were saying?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But he was God himself. So the atheist, he got the atheist to worship him or to respect him and to bow down to him, even though the technical philosophy of there's no God, but he's God. So he cheated those people by doing that. You were going to say, devotee.
Jackie Mataji, please unmute yourself.
Yes. Hare Krishna, all glories, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhu, yes, that was my exact question again. I wanted to hear the explanation. Lord Krishna came as Buddha. That was one of his reincarnations as Buddha. Is that correct?
Yes. But he gave this sub-religious principle of ahimsa because people were way off base, and he just like you take one step in the proper direction, but it's not, you haven't reached the goal by taking one step. So Buddha was taking people, was the people who were going way off by slaughtering animals wholesale, said, stop that, come back this way, as a precursor to the actual Vedic teachings of devotional service, if that makes sense.
So when people worship Buddha today, they're actually worshiping Krishna? Can that be said?
In a way, yes, but it's not done in always in the proper way. So that was going to be my question. Next question is, of course, people get benefit by worshiping Buddha, by praying to Lord Buddha, because he's an incarnation of Krishna. Yes, and I was thinking in my own case, back in the 1960s, there was a author by the name of Hermann Hesse. Have you ever heard of Hermann Hesse? He wrote several books. One was Siddhartha, and one was Steppenwolf. They were very popular in the 60s. You had to read those things if you were in the 60s. But Siddhartha was his version of the story of Buddha's enlightenment. And I read that and I was fascinated by it. It was full of misunderstandings and made up stuff. But just by the fact that there was a process of spiritual life that was being described, I became very interested in it. And that was a step in the direction towards Krishna consciousness, if that makes sense. So similarly, people who are worshippers of Buddha, that can be a step in the direction of Krishna consciousness. But that in and of itself, for most people, isn't enough, because it doesn't include the process of bhakti yoga. And there's different, as you probably know, there's different sects of Buddhism. One sect is Hinayan, Mahayan, Zen, and the traditional Mahayan Buddhism says there is no soul. Zen Buddhists kind of adjust that a little bit. And there are others who practice chanting the name of Buddha. Amitabha Buddha, that's what they do, Amitabha Buddha. And they go on chanting and chanting that name. So will they get benefit? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. Ultimately, the benefit will be to come to the stage of devotional service. What do you think, Prakshit Prabhu?
It's good. You know, this generally on this planet, there are people who warm up to a certain level of understanding of God consciousness. And since everybody has their free choice, so Krishna has also made all different kinds of religions available for people to just choose whatever they're comfortable with and want to live by. In Krishna consciousness, sometimes the regulative principles alone can turn some people off. I don't want to stop eating meat. I don't want to stop drinking. So then they go certain religion that is not banning that kind of activity. So yeah, I can see how that can happen where even for good reason, Krishna comes as Buddha, but then it's not the full religion like the way Bhakti is or Sanatana Dharma is. And people just become attracted to that.
Yes, they'll make progress. They'll make progress, yeah. But they may not get to the final goal, okay, but they'll make progress, for sure. Thank you.
That's also the mercy of the Lord. Anyway.
And we see dear Krishna Prabhu put that Jesus Christ reside in, or Brahmaloka. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to it, but I can't read right now the whole thing.
What is dear Krishna Prabhu still there?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances.
Yeah.
All good, Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, Prabhu, I mean, I was just looking for that. So it says Jesus Christ, somebody asked whether he has a Vaikuntha planet. Prabhupada says no, he is a person. He says no, Vaikuntha, he is a person. Brahmaloka. Brahmaloka is within the material world. And Vaikuntha is in the spiritual world. Do you follow what I say? That if you want to become, if you want to know God, you have to approach a person who knows God. Otherwise, there is no possibility. So he kind of indicating that Jesus Christ doesn't have his own planet in the spiritual world.
Yeah, there's some other quotes. Yeah, we can. Good. Thank you for this. Thank you for this. I've read other quotes also about this too, that might be a little bit different than that. No Vaikuntha, his person. It's a little unclear what he says. No Vaikuntha. Yeah, it's a little unclear there. Anyway, yeah. So it's an aspect of we can look further.
But see, my point is about starting off with Christianity anyway, myself, and then coming to Krishna consciousness. Jesus was not trying to get anybody to go to the spiritual world. The whole idea of elevating people more to goodness so they can go to the heavenly planet. That was his aim here. That's why the Bible doesn't mention much about anything in the spiritual world, although some things are alluded to, but they're not really told as a way of teaching the existence of the spiritual world and how to go there. The Bible doesn't do that. And Jesus does know about the spiritual world, maybe even more than we do, but he was teaching at a level that people will be comfortable with. And that is, when you come to the mode of goodness, as we talked about it already, you mentioned, Prabhu, that somebody who's not even, who just acts on the mode of goodness, but is not necessarily religious, can also get some, some elevation only because of the way they live their lives. So Christianity to bring people up to the higher planets. So that's
speaking,
yeah. He also said he would take them to God, to his Father. And that's where I get lost. Who is he referring to? Is he referring to Lord Brahma as a father? Is he referring to, because the Lord Vishnu also, sometimes he's in on the ocean, the ocean, true enough, God Black Ocean and so on. But he also comes to, according to those of us reading, what's that? Anyway, some of the scriptures, we know that he also spends time in, Lord Vishnu spends time in the heavenly planets also. So then that part is very great to me. He said he would take us his father, but the father Brahma or Vishnu that he's talking about, which one? But then again, I'm not in Christianity anymore, so it doesn't matter to me because we're going to the spiritual world anyway. But
thank you.
His points about this is about mostly Brahma though. The whole genesis about how the Lord created is mostly Brahma. It really, it seems to be consistent with the activities of Lord Brahma. I'll just put it that way. That's so anyway, people call Brahma God, so
he is a god. He's a god.
Yeah.
Not the supreme God. Yeah.
So
alrighty. Thank you all.
Right.
We can do that research. I'll forward that thing to you. And I'll look further. Dear Krishna, thank you for that quote. I wasn't aware of that quote, but I've read other quotes. I'll see if I can find them also.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That was a very, very mind-intriguing question when you asked. My head was spinning. I never thought about it. Thank you.
Yeah.
My head is also spinning, and I'm also trying to do research. But Prabhu, whatever you could send, you gave us a very good assignment, Prabhu. I really appreciate it.
I know that in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Muhammad and Lord Jesus Christ may have come from the heavenly planets, descended there. He says there. But then later I read, I think it's in the writings of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur about the Shakti Avesh, that Jesus Christ being a Shakti Avesh avatar. Because avatar just means they descend, so they could descend from the spiritual world or from a higher planet. Yeah. Then I may have made a mistake, and I think that but I believe I read also that there's a planet, but perhaps I'm wrong. So thank you for that, dear Krishna Prabhu, and I'll look for that, and we'll try to clarify that.
I've heard one thing though from Chandamali Swami about Jesus, that there is a heavenly planet. When he says, "I'll take you to heaven," there's a particular heavenly planet set aside for him also.
Okay.
That Christians can go, not only Christians from the earth, but from other parts that he's been, in touch with, that they also can come. Because Jesus doesn't work only for the earth.
Because he's not his body, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the heavenly planet. So that's not the spiritual world.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Nice discussion. Thank you for coming to have a wonderful discussion and lecture. Hare Krishna. Everybody's have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Bless you, Prabhupada.